Hey everyone, this is Carly with LaunchCode. In this video and a few that follow, we're going to be going over the basics of how to create and use model classes within the MVC framework. So models are essentially just plain C# objects that shape the data of an MVC application. So in this case, we're back in our coding events application, and we're going to be creating an event model. So just a little recap of what our application looks like so far. If you've completed your views exercises using your coding events application, then your screen should look roughly like mine does in Events Controller now. If it doesn't, you should still be in pretty good shape to code along with me. But if you do want to check out the end status of the views exercises, you can also check out the Models 1 Start branch of Coding Events demo. But in summary, what the exercises have asked you to do is to store event information in a dictionary collection. So the key value pairs in that dictionary are keys representing names of events, and their values are descriptions of events. What we're going to be doing in this introductory video is to once again refactor this collection to house a list of event objects. So to get started, we're going to create our first model, and naturally it's going to be called event. And we just want this class to be as simple as possible, so it's just going to contain a name property for now. And we'll continue to work on adding items to this class. We do want to also add this single constructor that makes use of name and sets its own name property. And then one more item, sort of like basic class creation, is we want to generate a toString override. We're gonna put a pin in generating these other overrides for now. In previous lessons, we've talked about how it is generally a good idea to add those to any custom classes that you're creating. But since we're going to be adding other items and properties to this class, we'll just hold off on adding those for now, but know that they'll come later. So that's it. That's a model class in its simplest form. In order to make use of this event class, we want to go back to our controller. And like I mentioned, we're going to refactor this collection to be a list of event objects. So this will be of type list using events. And events are in a different folder, so we're going to have to also import our coding events models in order to use event, or that new class that we created. And because we've now changed the nature of this collection, we've changed its data type, well, you'll see that there's also a little bit of additional refactoring that we need to do within the class. So here's a little recap of what this action method is doing. So new event handles the form submission when a user is using the application and submits a form to add a new event. This action method is called, and it takes these form field items and previously had added them as key value pairs into that event dictionary. Since we're briefly not using this description property, it's still going to be in the add form for now, but we can just get rid of it as a parameter on this method. And we no longer want to add these two items as dictionary entries, but now want to we'll create and add a new event object to a list. So we'll say new event, and we're making use of that single constructor that we added to our class. So now our controller's happy. Really the simplest way to test this little bit of refactoring that we've done is to also make a quick update to our home view of events. So if you will recall, the index view of the events portion of our application lists event information or event details within a table. Since we've changed the nature, like I mentioned, of the collection of events within the controller class that we've added to ViewBag, we want to also change this little bit of code within the home page. So instead of asking for event.key and event.value, we're going to remove event value because that was the description, which we aren't using at the current time. And we're going to replace event.key with event.name to use that name property on the event object. Okay, so that's really it. We're gonna load up our application. Now, since what we've done here is really just refactoring, we won't expect to see any changes as far as user interaction really with the application. We just want to confirm that we haven't really broken anything, or we haven't broken anything that we wouldn't have expected to break. So our home page looks the same. We don't have a table, but we do have that message as usual. Let's practice adding an event. So we'll add code with pride. And like I mentioned, we're just sort of pausing the idea of the description for now. So we won't do anything with that form field, but we'll just add an event with a name. And you see it's added to the table. The styling's a little bit off, but that could be expected given sort of our neglect of the description portion of the table. Just for practice, let's add one more. We'll add strange loop. Okay, so essentially the user interaction is the same. Really the changes that we've made are pretty simple, and the start to this event model class is very simple, but as we move forward you'll see, or hopefully you'll see that using model classes within the framework helps to make your application a lot more flexible.